skipping my mans at the moment, but Gragas is available, and again is a very solid pick as we've seen all the way through today. Stress, so we'll see if that also comes into play.
Now, no first pick has been locked in yet, and Gragas has been picked up a lot. I believe that's one of the points you were just making. So whether we'll see him find a place on either team, you have to imagine that yes, he will. But Thresh is the first pickup, and it's been a while since I've seen first pick given to Thresh. Normally, if you're first picking a support, it tends to be Annie. So confident out of Gunwaaa that Thresh is the champion they want.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good supports at the moment, to the point where you're often seeing people prioritize the top lane, picking up someone like Mundo, and then just picking whatever they didn't pick from the support role. And by picking Thresh first, it leaves open both Annie, Lucian, and indeed Mundo.
Yes, there's a lot available here for Triple Lol to pick up, and it looks like Jwow is going to hover over Annie to give over to Dioud. I wonder whether they will lock that in. It is an anticipated pick whenever you look at bot lane matchups ever since Tabe used Annie to such great effect in Worlds, and previously, of course, Tabe. That was not the first time he's used Annie as a support. However, Morden looking maybe to pick up a Lee Sin, who I feel, if I'm remembering rightly, was banned out in the earlier game, and Jwow at the last second will swap over to Lucian.
Yeah, I believe he was, and we made the comment that there are just a lot of good players with Lee Sin when you hit this level, in terms of challenger play. So it just makes sense just to ban Lee Sin as like a blanket ban, but he's being hovered over, and as you said, has actually been changed to a different pick. So Annie is a very consistent pick, and so is Lucian. It's just something you're seeing so often. If you're picking like a pairing in bot lane, it's usually going to be Annie Lucian if you can get it first.
And I think with Thresh already locked in, there's not a lot of danger of losing Annie to your opponents, because unless they're playing it in a mid role, I don't really see them actually taking Annie away. So I think going for Lucian there allows them to pick up their AD carry of choice, rather than just picking up the support because it's available. Mundo, on the other hand, was available and was passed over in favor of that Lee Sin. Of course, Lee Sin in the jungle, Mundo in top, but in the pick order, I mean Lee Sin not quite as prioritized as much as Mundo, so Gunwaaa may be looking at picking up Mundo for themselves.
Yeah, very possible. It's a solid pick which fits into many compositions. It's just good at doing things, and Thresh also picked up means that it can chain in with a lot of other AD carries. We're seeing a lot of Jinx, seeing a lot of Caitlyn, and considering that Lucian has already been picked up and you want to prioritize other things, you might just see a couple other things beforehand, like the Vi, like the Mundo, and we could see the Caitlyn later.
And that's a Jwow pick right there that's being hovered over. Kha'Zix is a champion that Jwow has played quite a few times. Normally not so often picked into Mundo, but if Kha'Zix gets early kills, he can actually prevent Mundo from getting to a point where he's tanky. So watch out for early engagements in that top lane when Mundo is still susceptible to a lot of damage.
Yeah, and that is very typical of Jwoaw's playstyle, so it just definitely fits into his kind of comfort role. And as you mentioned, it's all about getting those early kills and kind of closing out as fast as possible, stopping the itemization. And Lee Sin tends towards that as well. They also have just really good gank lanes setting themselves up. Mid lane can be a variety of picks. It doesn't even really matter at this stage. Their composition is very, very solid.
And he has been locked in. That leaves, it looks like mid lane and yeah, just mid lane and AD carry for Gunwaaa to lock in now. So they're hovering over Caitlyn. We've talked a good few times about the Caitlyn-Lucian matchup and how Caitlyn is one of the better champions against Lucian, as you can sit further back. They'll hover over Gragas and then swap to Orianna, back to Gragas. Both champions are actually good. Both are fairly consistent. There's no other way of putting it. And if one's picked, I wouldn't be surprised to see the other one picked over by Lololol, Triple Lol, as we are calling them. Gragas gets locked in, and that would be an interesting one, of course. With Vi picked up, Kayle is available. Kayle is a champion that is in Ocelote's playbook, as of course is in every mid laner's playbook, or should be, because Kayle was a staple throughout the early parts of Season 3, so wouldn't be too surprised to see that locked in here either.
I was expecting the Orianna because of the Vi combination, but again, Gragas packs a slightly bigger punch with his ultimate, and again, Kayle could be picked up here. Has anything been locked in yet?
No, it hasn't been locked in. They've changed over to Fiddlesticks, actually. So,
okay, nothing to read from that then.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't quite decided on what they want. Kayle would be the optimal choice for me, personally. Other options are Orianna or Syndra. We've already seen them out of we've already seen Ocelote playing Syndra, so we know Ocelote as a player has a very large champion pool. So whichever he picks here, he should feel confident because Gragas is a staple matchup for every mid laner.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll just see how this pans on out. So both these teams have pretty good initiate and, in fact, disengage, and most likely the early stage of the game are going to be the most explosive because Lee Sin being on the board along with Vi means they're constantly going to be looking for those ganks, and also with Kha'Zix against Mundo will mean they have to go for those ganks to make it work.
It has been the Syndra that's locked in, so I believe that's a repeat of game number 1, if I'm not mistaken. Even though it was only a few minutes ago, it is somewhere in the back of my memory as this will be the... oh no, I'm doing maths on stream. This is my one rule never to do. I think this is the 9th game that we'll have casted today, as it is... yeah, that'll be right. 4 best of 3s, 1 went to 3 games, yeah. 9 games we've casted so far. So sometimes pick and ban phases blur a little bit into each other. However, it looks like we are just about ready. The last swaps are going through. Teams have been locked in, and we're into the delay period here for game number 2. Welcome back to what could potentially be our last game of the day, as Lololol, aka Ocelote's team, do have themselves a 1-0 lead here in this best of 3 against Gunwaaa. And will look to close this one out and put themselves into the semi-finals with a 2-0. But we saw flashes from Gunwaaa of being able to compete here against Lololol. So whether they can get themselves an early lead is the question. But it looks like Lololol are looking to be aggressive here.
Yeah, so they looked very dominant in the first game, and Lololol making the aggressive placing if they can fish for the first blood. But Caffeee will see them as they walk up into the jungle, and because they've been seen, they'll probably just fan out and go for a very standard start.
And while we're in the beginning of the game, we can announce that the winner of the second Evo ZX headset made by Creative is Casper Rosing. We've already got in contact with you about that. However, we do have 3 more to give away tomorrow, as well as a big stack of Be Quiet goodies. A lot of their components we will be giving away tomorrow as well. So make sure that you come back tomorrow for the semi-finals and finals. Meanwhile, we have our final potential game of the day in our final best of 3. So, how will this one pan out?
So, we've talked a little about these lanes, and the bottom lane is as conventional as you can get. The junglers are pretty standard, and actually Daffcio is sitting in his jungle, has been revealed by that ward, and with Ocelote and also Jwow just above him, he might be able to not only disrupt him, may even pick up the kill as he takes some damage from this red buff. And the fact that they're just not on the screen means that Daffcio is kind of a bit tentative about going anywhere else.
Yeah, and Ocelote, I believe, has an inkling of what's up. They have obviously got that ward. Of course, it's more than an inkling.
They've got vision there.
Yeah, I had my mind on the teams being the reversed colours as they were in game 1, and he's actually forcing Daffcio out of the jungle with nothing to speak of.
Yeah, so Ocelote will just return into the middle lane. Morden held it for a couple seconds, and this will be walking into the turret, but it won't be too difficult for him to CS. It's quite easy to set up the CS to take them all down. But Daffcio has actually been put quite far behind and has been forced to pop way more pots than he might have wanted in this early game.
And that's pretty difficult when you're in the Lee Sin against Vi matchup, because Lee Sin is going to want to trade very early on against a champion like Vi, who really just can't trade against anybody in the jungle. That's one of the limitations that Vi has.
Yeah, and being behind just only increases that problem that Vi it has in that jungle. So right now we're talking about the top lane. In fact, we're talking about the bottom lane because Mystiques has landed a death sentence, and the Piltover will land onto Yuki as he tries to retreat. So already a lot of damage has come down, but they are level 2. They have gotten some extra HP, and the pot has been popped. So we're looking more towards the top lane because Kha'Zix Mundo, Kha'Zix have a rough time unless he gets those ganks from Morden. But Morden opting to go to the bottom lane first.
Yeah, and we talked about how Kha'Zix is going to need that assistance and how to convert that Incinerate. Actually, will end up stunning Caffeee in place. They look for the ward jump forward. Was expecting the kick, but at only level 3, no ultimate available. The mid lane Ocelote is taking a lot of damage.
He is, and flashing back to his turret, Ignite is taking on both of these players, but is not going to claim the lives of either. So they will just go back to farming, but Ocelote's got to be in Gragas because Gragas not only has the mana regeneration, but he's got enough for a kill combo.
Not very often you see those offensive ward jumps this early on into the game, so caught me a little by surprise then as I was about to call the Dragon's Rage. Luckily though, managed to spot that out before anything happened.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of fake out your opponents a little bit, like you see the ward jump, it's like, oh, he's gonna insect, and then you panic flash backwards and realize you're only level 3 or level 4, so maybe that's what he was looking for, but either way, Morden knows exactly what he's doing. Looking for this gank in the middle lane, the stun will not land from Scatter to weak, and Morden just kind of wanders in, says hi to Gragas, and goes back to his jungle.
Mind games, that's what it's all about here at the competitive level of EU Challenger. And you can see Mystiques is looking all the time for those hooks, has positioned himself right around the side of Dioud and Yuki, but Dioud has a stun charged up. Will they be able to get any kind of engage? Because really it's difficult for a Thresh Caitlyn lane to really engage in if Annie has that stun charged.
Yeah, so once again, Vi moves into the top lane, see if he can get anything done. His Jwow is pretty good at getting outside the ganks because of the leap, and maybe looking to counter gank from Morden, who has in fact not been pressuring the top lane, something we call during Champion Select. So Ping's come into the middle lane, and Vi does not have a level 6, neither does Lee Sin, as we saw earlier, and Ocelote just goes back to farming.
Does have himself a little bit of a CS disparity in the early game, although that's not too surprising in the Syndra-Gragas matchup. Until Syndra really gets a lot of her abilities, it's fairly difficult for her to shove out Gragas after those early levels, as Gragas starts to do quite a bit of damage if he can land those barrels. Of course, Syndra will do a fair amount of damage with the balls as well, but it's a back and forth lane, and it's going to be another one of those races to 6 in the middle lane.
Yeah, it's a little funny because I called the early game being the most explosive part of the game here, Stress, and this is the slowest part of the game that we've seen so far. But both of these teams have massive kill potentials in all of their lanes. It's just a matter of trying to unlock that kill potential, and it might just happen from the level 6s from these junglers. The ultimate comes down, as you called it, they will be going for this. The knockback, as the Vault Breaker came in, was absolutely perfect from Ocelote.
Yeah, brilliant scatter the week with locking down Vi, and I mean, Vi isn't level 6, neither is any of the junglers, only really Gragas is level 6, but that's the difference between Vi's ability to gank at this point in the game and when she's hit that level 6 and have Assault and Battery available, because you cannot be stopped until the very last second of that animation as you get grabbed up into the air. The channeling, you cannot be CC'd in, so that's the difference. Vi not able to convert that gank, and now we're into a pause. It is Gunwaaa again. Hopefully won't be very long. Pretty similar to the first game. We had a brief pause.
Yeah, and it wasn't too long, so hopefully this one should not be any longer than the first one was. But now, I guess there's a time to take... Okay, no, it's not, because Monday was already reconnected. But just talking quickly about the item builds, there's not a huge disparity, as you mentioned, between the farm. But funny enough, the Kha'Zix, which has not been touched at all, and in fact hasn't gone back, is massively ahead in terms of CS, which is a little bit surprising, because we expected Mundo to be slightly stronger than Jwow in the first couple of levels, unless we had more than helping out.
Yeah, and Jwow was going to have to recall soon to get some itemization against Mundo. I mean, Mundo with a Giant's Belt is almost, I would say, especially in a 1v1, won't get burst down by Jwow. But with help, still possibly could. But extra itemization on Kha'Zix would go quite a long way to helping them burst down that Mundo. So expect to see Jwow recall fairly shortly after pushing this wave through.
Yeah, so Yuki in a bottom lane does not have a support to really defend him out, but he doesn't have too much to fear from Mystiques, who will not be able to hook through those minions because he is not running Smite. So Yuki just going to walk on back and wait for his support of Annie to walk back into the lane. So most likely the first blood, since the explosive cask has already been used, is going to be either in the bottom lane, because we've seen that these lanes definitely have potential to kill each other from the first game, or most likely in the middle lane once explosive cask comes up again.
And that's a pretty big tell out of Jwow. He's just picked up a BF sword. I mean, you would fairly standard expect a brutalizer. Pause has actually come out this time from Triple Lol. You can see Mystiques is setting up a hook here. Not quite sure on the direction of it, but Pause nonetheless at an inopportune moment here for Gunwaaa. And it's actually Jwow disconnecting.
It would be great if we could see the direction that he was throwing the Death Sentences in, to see if it would actually land as soon as the pause comes off. But it gives a little bit of time for Triple Lol to kind of think about it if it does land.
Yeah, that's... a little bit of a difficult time to pause at. I mean, he's got the lantern thrown back, and we can see that nobody is really there to accept the lantern. It's a good fake out, as they know that Vi's just recalled, so she's off the map. No real way of Triple Lol from being able to pick up on that, but nevertheless, we are in a pause here, and we can talk a little bit again about itemization. You wanted to touch on it earlier. That BF sword is quite a big tell of how confident Jwow is here in this lane.
Yeah, and it's most likely going to be a BF sword. No, it's not going to be a BF sword.
It is a BF sword.
It definitely is a BF sword. I'm glad I called that. But it's going to be a Bloodthirster over an Infinity Edge, which is something we don't see all that often from a Kha'Zix. Sometimes you'll see the Tiamat and a Hexdrinker, but he's very confident to pick up a BF sword.
Yeah, and I would have expected a Brutalizer more than anything. That typically is a strong first item, but we're about to resume the game. Where is this hook going to go?
Well, where will it land? Nowhere.
But they did force flashes.
They did, because the fact that they had a pause was detrimental to Triple Lol, because they were just like, surely it's going to go after Annie. Actually, no.
The fear. The only thing worse than knowing a hook is going to hit you is the questioning if a hook is going to hit you as soon as you unpause. So I think that's actually a wise move on Dioud to flash that one, just in case.
Indeed. So they have a slight CS advantage, which is converted into a small gold advantage over the entire board. Nothing really to write home about. Dragon is still alive. No first blood just yet, but I can see this game catapulting in either one of these teams' directions, especially because of the snowballing nature of these compositions.
And the snowball nature is a little bit more prevalent for Triple Lol. I mean, you've got a champion like Kha'Zix who is, of course, going to get the resets in the team fights, provided you can get that first kill. And who better to ensure that you get the first kill than Syndra? She has incredible burst. You can pick one target off, make sure that Kha'Zix is able to keep dealing damage.
Yeah, the team fights are a little bit janky in the sense they don't have like a clear tank who can draw aggro. They don't have maybe just the general beefiness that a team fight composition has, but they have the potential to snowball out of control, and they can do that from the laning phase, to the point where if they do enter a team fight, then they're just simply stronger. And that's what they're looking really towards. That's their early game objective.
They have to be careful this game doesn't go on too long, and Daffcio is looking maybe to stem Jwow's aggression before it starts.
Yeah, Daffcio in the top lane knocks Jwow back. He's unable to retreat to his turret, and there's the first blood.
You can see that Jwow even was aggressing onto Mundo, figured he could get the kill with a second rotation, but with the presence of Daffcio and that Assault and Battery, that is an important first kill there. It does go to Vi, but it does mean that Kha'Zix isn't starting to pick up that itemization.
Yeah, Kha'Zix is actually farming basically perfectly. Ultimate from Gragas knocks back Ocelote in the middle lane, and neither of these burst mages pick up their kill.
Ocelote really would have liked to have had a kill there, but obviously will be content with pushing into the tower himself. That does allow him to roam. He can either look to take the jungle away with those with that Wraith Camp, which looks like what he's doing, or possibly even join his teammates in the bottom.
Oh, and that is the second Tibbers of this series missing. And I don't think they even juked out of that. I think it just came down and there was nothing there. So Dioud's going to have that on cooldown for quite a while now, even though that the overlay for Spectator doesn't show that and confuses us casters many times.
Yeah, it is a little confusing, but you can see Morden is really pressuring the jungle here from Daffcio, and while Daffcio's been getting kills, Hook doesn't quite land. While Daffcio has been getting that kill up in the top lane, he's been losing his jungle, but has somehow maintained equal farm with Lee Sin right now.
Yeah, indeed. So, Lee Sin, talking about him, Morden is just hanging around the middle lane, seeing if he can get anything done onto Gragas, who does actually have the Dragon's Raid, so that ward jump will result in the insect maneuver, will land the Q and the stun, but unable to land Dragon's Raid quite in time. Did have the flash, though. Yeah,
forced the flash out. I thought for a second he might have Dragon's Raged him backwards, but that was a solid play there, flashing out from Gragas, and keeps the Dragon's Rage available for his next gank.
Yeah, Morden could have also flashed behind the flash from Gragas and then done some flashy tricks, but Vi was also coming in from the side, so I don't think it was really that necessary.
That's a lot of flash.
It was. So much flash.
Now, fairly standard itemization on Dr. Mundo is to go Sunfire Cape first. Of course, the armor is going to help him against the damage that's going to come out from Jwow, and you have to question that, can Jwow burst through Mundo? if Mundo stays at this health, yes, he can, because Mundo at half health isn't going to regenerate that quickly during a fight until he pops Sadism, so Kha'Zix maybe has an opportunity, but Jwow is quite low himself. He's only just above half health, so can't really afford to be too aggressive, because that Burning Agony is going to do a lot, and both junglers converge in this top lane.
Yeah, and Morden finds himself Daffcio, who still can't trade up against him. Q lands, jumps over the wall with Vault Breaker, and Jwow just returns to farming. He kills very quickly, but also dies very quickly, so it's an engagement they have to be very careful about.
Yeah, very, very careful about indeed. Jwow will manage to sustain himself back up to around full health, so maybe we'll look to go aggressive now. They've got good wards in and around the top lane to prevent Daffcio from getting up into the area. But just going to give Jwow a little bit of peace of mind while he's sat in that lane. Meanwhile, Flash Tibbers.
And at this time finds its mark, but not going to be quite enough damage as the Dark Passage shield will protect her. But the bottom lane will surely fall off the back of it.
Yeah, they aren't going to focus the tower down, however, as Tibbers blinks back onto the screen. They will tank that one up and look to take down the tower after figuring out there's not really that much kill potential there. Stun does land again. Mystiques is in trouble.
And maybe the kill potential is the hook will land onto the minion, but the counter gag, Mystiques instantly drops him with a powered up auto attack. And indeed there wasn't kill potential there, Stress, you were right.
And Triple Lol just hesitated. They went for the kill, went for the tower, went back for the kill. And when you make these decisions that change all the time, that's when you start giving away advantages, because they didn't get anything from that, apart from overstaying and dying for it. Morden's looking for a kill in the mid.
Yeah, and does not land the Q, and will be backing off.
Morden was looking, but unfortunately Lee Sin is blind, so his hearing let him down on that one.
Yeah, or like sometimes it's a smelly enemy that gets it, but Gragas apparently does use aftershave, so.
I would imagine though that he would be fairly good at hearing Gragas,
right.
Unless Gragas is the most.
He's pretty quick on his feet, man. I mean, like the body slam. He's pretty good at running away from those ganks.
He must be fairly light-footed.
Yeah, and Gragas known as a counter to Lee Sin. Okay, so back onto this game. Yuki just farming this one out and has a very similar farm to his lane opponent. And this is the first time I actually looked at my scoreboard and I was like, his lane opponent of Gragas. Oh wait, I haven't adjusted my scoreboard yet. So, okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been adjusted quite yet for you, but oh well. That's neither here nor there as we return to this bottom lane action. Teleport has been used, looking for the hook, doesn't quite land. Can they land the cleaver?
They might go for the dive. Mundo was definitely tanky enough. Tibbet comes down, locks up too. They're actually getting chunked, but Yuki already falls, and that was a successful teleport.
Yeah, good teleport play out from Gunwaaa, and with the dragon still available, Morden is around to contest this, but they may look to pick this up.
Yeah, and Dragon will be falling, so Morden just hovering around the outskirts of this, but does not want to get grabbed right here, especially with that lantern already placed down. Means that they can follow up onto Morden very quickly. And I'm glad that the chat has caught up and fail fishers have entered the chat.
Fail fishes all around. Jwow picks himself up, turret in that top lane. That's what he was looking for, that teleport play out of Gragas. Out of Gragas? No, out of Mundo. I mean, they're fairly equal in size, but not equal in nature at all. But teleport out from Mundo has meant that top tower has fallen in favor of Triple Lol, and will give Jwow the ability to roam a little bit more now.
Yeah, so Daffcio has again picked up the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, which is a very aggressive play. We saw this last time from him and did start to work off, but it requires him to really start racking up those early kills and has actually paid off for his team. Morden finds himself Daffcio in the jungle, both of them with red buff means that no one's really going to kill the other. Well, Lee Sin will win a protracted engagement, but Daffcio is is going to get out of there with no problem. And bottom tower finally falls to Triple Lol.
And Jwow has taken a little bit of a unique build order here. He went for that BF sword first, then picked up the Vamp Scepter, then the Tiamat after picking up a pickaxe. He's built a lot of components and then made them into the full items. So he's looking for that flat damage to really try and get the resets, which I guess is kind of an adaptation of that triple longsword build, but just with a BF sword and a pickaxe.
Yeah, indeed. Because typically you'll go for the triple longsword and you'll build it into a brutalizer and then pick up maybe a last whisper from that later. But indeed, I can see the build. It's just a little more risky. I guess it's like you just go back to shops like, well, I could pick up triple longsword, but I have enough gold for BF sword.
Yeah, it's a very alternative build that I'm confident that Jwow knows what he's doing. As I've seen Jwow play many a game on Kha'Zix.
Yeah, there's always that opportunity where you're just like, well, I could go huge here, and Ocelote is trying to do that in the middle lane. As another Dark Sphere lands, they are setting up this kill, but so is Daffcio from the side, trying to land that Vault Breaker, and actually lands the explosive card. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication here, as the Unleashed Power comes through, auto attacks, and the Ignite will just be enough to pick up the kill into Ocelote.
And that time you saw the Scatter the Weak come out, but of course with Assault and Battery we mentioned earlier that it's not able to be stopped during the channel, and they managed to convert that into a kill. And Gunwaaa have themselves a kill lead here. They are about 1,000 gold up as well, but Daffcio has been caught out.
Yeah, and Morden has found him, but it doesn't quite have the burst available to him. Unlike Daffcio, he did not opt to go for the Spirit of the Lizard Elder, so he doesn't quite have the same amount of damage.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we talked about it in game number 1, I believe it was, is actually Jwow is going to go aggressive onto Mundo. Can he pick up the kill here?
The answer is yes.
Yes,
with that BF sword and the Tiamat dealing quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, apparently he tasted the fear on Mundo, although...
Has it hit that stage in the evening stress?
It has, I'm sorry. It's one of those times this Gragas gets stunned up as well. This could be another kill, will be another kill for Triple Lol. And you have to imagine they will rotate around now to that mid turret.
Yeah, and looking to pick this one up, which shouldn't be an issue because the only people to contest are Caitlyn and Mystiques, who are not really close and unable to really clear out the mini wave in time. But it will mean that they can't go any further than this, and even with Tibbers alive, they can't just use that to tank and have enough damage.
For the most part as well, Triple Lol are just really playing the lanes to farming a lot better, but here's an engagement in mid.
Death Sentence into that box is not quite enough to lock them all down, and Mystiques take so much damage literally from being in the fight for a couple seconds.
And I was starting to mention that you can see for the most part, the solo laners have a big advantage over their lane counterparts, and the global gold is going to go even further to help that as well. You can see the CS disparity between all of the players, and really that's just meaning that when they take these engagements, the 1v1s, the 2v2s, in these kind of areas, the advantage with Triple Lol is just making sure that they can convert these leads into more kills.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're now picking up those turrets, and Morden is slowly dying to blue buff, and hopefully they can just go from objective to objective. Dragon is going to be up in 1 minute 30, and because it is spawning so soon, we might just see them farming out their lanes, congregating around the dragon area instead of trying to force home a turret push, because that groups the opposing team, meaning they'll just follow towards the dragon instead of you being able to make a good movement play.
We've already seen Jwow and Mundo trading quite a bit in this top lane. This time Daffcio is around, so it looks like they're trying to bait Mundo into attacking Jwow, Jwow into attacking Mundo, but with that ward down already, Daffcio is going to find it difficult to get into this lane unawares because Jwow is just a little bit too smart for this one to work.
Yeah, he's been quite skittish, and rightly so. With Lee Sin around the area, or rather at red buff, he did have the ability to react to that if they did go for the all-in tower dive. So everyone's just returning to those lanes, and in fact, Lee Sin has moved himself up towards there. So Vault Breaker being charged up, ready to lock that in and follow up with the Assault and Battery, but Morden looks for this guy, comes to the top lane. Mundo using sadism, just walks around in circles, lands the Q, doesn't decide to go for it.
Neither team wanted to engage that as soon as Morden turned up. Vi had to show presence out of the bushes. Ocelote looks to all in, Gragas in the mid lane. Oh, Ignite is enough. Got him.
It was that second of everyone holding their breath to see if Ignite was going to be enough with Happy Hour and the health pot, but yes it was, and Ocelote claims that kill in the middle lane.
Yeah, both teams didn't want to take that fight in the top lane. Vi came out of the bush just to show presence and be, hey, I'm here, you can't actually engage this because we'll probably win, but they were a little bit too afraid to actually take it. As it's one of those things that giving Jwow needless kills is not the best strategy.
Oh, and the Sultan battery over the wall, even through that stun from Tibbers, and Yuki backs himself off. Ace in the hole should not be enough. In fact, barrier has come down right at the right time. Daffcio dives him underneath the turret. The Vault Breaker damage is quite extreme. So the 1-for-0 trade, but Annie still coming for this once again. Morden comes out, and the rest of the cavalry knocks him back, does not disrupt the recall, but Dioud does that anyway. Gets one, gets the reset. Void Assault has been popped, jumps onto Caffeee, and there's the second.
Yeah, Ocelote picks that kill up for himself. Dragon is available, so that will be the next objective taken down. Daffcio forced to execute as well, as he was caught out behind enemy lines there, and that was a good pickup. They even got the middle inner tower to begin that off. Jwow managed to pick that off and then rotate around, so a good power play overall by Lololol, and they established themselves a gold lead.
Yeah, a good couple kills, a good couple objectives, and that's just very solid. They'll be quite happy to just fall back here, get some items, and then try and rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and that's all they need to do right now. They know that the team fights can go their way if they find one or two members caught out, as with Ocelote and Jwow. They're going to do so much single target damage that it's so difficult for Gunwaaa to really contend that. But as we've said a good few times today, if a team with Gragas can land a perfect Gragas ult in a team fight, it's actually still fairly consistent to come back. And Gunwaaa have scanned the area with the red trinket and are looking to take down Baron, and they might be unawares here, as Lololol have no way of knowing.
Yeah, typically you do not see stealth Barons anymore because of how vision works, and in fact, did Jwow see them? I think he did, but this is falling way too quickly. He gets it! He got it with the Q! He will just be jumping out. I don't even care if he survives here because the Baron picked up by Jwow, just wandering past. Daffcio dies. The rest of the team is just wandering around in circles, but that wasn't even isolation damage. Unbelievable.
Casually picking up the Baron as he walks past. Jwow with the massive Baron steal turns a game turnaround attempt at Baron from Lololol in the favor of Lololol themselves, and now they push this inhibitor turret down, and I'm not sure how they're going to get stopped here.
Yeah, they force them back. Flash comes down from Ocelote. They try to make a pushing play, but they have Baron. They can just wait for Jwow, group up and go for a fight, and they'll most likely win. In fact, they're going to rotate to bottom lane, and I think that's got to be the most casual Baron steal I've ever seen.
It's pretty much unfair to the casual Dragon steal that we saw out of Impaler months and months ago in the Challenger series, but that was smooth as can be from Jwow.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be quite happy with that, as a large smile across his face for the rest of the game. 24 minutes in, the Baron will be on the team of Lololol, and just taking objective after objective, mainly just taking the easy ones, most likely going to rotate to top lane, pick up that, and then try and knock down one of these important inhibitor turrets.
Some big items have been finished here on the side of Lololol. They've picked up the Rabadon's Death Cap on to Ocelote on that Syndra, as well as the Talisman of Ascension. That's going to give him the ability to engage and disengage with that extra movement speed. With you can see Dioud has picked up the Distortion upgrade onto the Boots of Mobility already. That's going to give him the the extra cooldown reduction onto Flash to give them the engage potential even more often.
Yeah, indeed, and Daffcio just moves back into his jungle, but Jwow is there. He will do a lot of damage. Oh, the fail flash! I think the first wall plant, face plant, I should say, of the tournament.
Yeah, I think that is the first one actually, unless we've not caught some on Spectator. However, Lololol just really have as much control as they want, but Ocelote might have got caught out here.
Yeah, has been caught by the very strong Q through the wall, but Culling from the side picks up that Gragas, so it turns into a 1-for-1 trade, and the smart rotation, and in fact no minions, means that Yuki will take down the middle turret, and Karzik looking for this rampage as he just rips through that team, trading off against Mundo. That's not something he can easily take down, but with Morden's help and Morden tanking the turret, they are able to secure that kill. Daffcio jumps forwards, Morden's got nowhere to run, Assault and Battery, and they did not have visibility on Vi there.
But meanwhile, Yuki was in the middle lane using the Light Slinger passive on Lucian to take down an inhibitor. And once again, Daffcio is caught behind enemy lines here as here comes a three-man stack. Tibbers doesn't quite land, but that's going to be the end of Daffcio. Oh, it's the first time this game.
There we go. It was gonna happen. But they definitely had visibility for there. Visibility? Yeah? No? Okay, fine.
Yeah,
But you're just refusing to acknowledge it.
I'm just clearly sad that we'll not see Daffcio playing anymore, although he will be casting for LCS, so look forward to seeing that. He put out a tweet earlier in the week, so I guess I'm just missing Daffcio already. Yeah,
but it will be very exciting to see him on the casting desk, see what he brings to the table with a lot of game knowledge. But either way, back onto this game, 10-8, Lololol still in very good shape and finishing a ton of items. Two big items currently picked up by Ocelote. Again, the same story with Yuki. And, well, Jwow is having a field day.
Having a field day indeed. Now, Dioud is a player that maybe is not quite having a field day. He may be set at 1-0-4, but not to call anyone out, but these tip results have not always landed the mark, and he might need one, although Tibber's not available, might get caught out here.
Yeah, they do get the lockdown onto Ocelote. Will he take someone in return? Unleash Power will say yes. Dioud backing off. He's going to be tanking for his ally of Yuki. But Morden coming in from the backside. Lands Q onto Caffeee. Picks up kill with Dragon's Rage. Jumps to Yuki once again. And Mundo is slowly grinding them down. Culling has been popped. Instantly interrupted. And now Gragas has joined the fight. A new challenger has approached. Morden jumps out. Daffcio follows up and just backs off.
The difficulty they have here, though, is if Lee Sin can delay, they've already got super minions pushing in through the middle, and there's enough ward control around here that Lee Sin can land the Sonic Waves and just stop the recalls of all of the members of Gunwaaa here, and there's already supers in the middle lane. Thresh isn't available to stop them. They're likely to get at least one Nexus turret here. They will take the first. Not sure if the second will be available, but Jwow has been busy pushing in through the top wave himself.
He gets an inhibitor turret and a nexus turret, and it was legitimately worth it for Lee Sin just to be a nuisance right there. And that's what they get. And the Baron will be up in about a minute 30. Morden is still not letting Daffcio recall, maybe to his own peril. Like, you can stop now. All the threat has been removed, but the dragon will be taken.
Your team has respawned. You
Calm down, Morden. Pipe down.
Just wanting to pick up a kill for himself. He's 0-1-7. He's thinking, team, come on, give me something here. But Morden finally gets to recall and regenerate his health there. But clearly his job was done there. That was a lot of objectives getting picked up by Lololol with that funny little passage of play from Morden.
Many lols to be had, but the real Ocelote is currently sitting in the jungle waiting for a real player to pass him by. It will be Caffeee, who actually just escapes with his life. Fine, no problem.
I thought you were going to be bad-mannered to our teams again, but...
No, never.
Nevertheless, that is a red buff picked up for Yuki, who will put that to good use, of course, with the auto attacks, which will get the slow and the damage from red buff. And finally, Mundo has been able to take down that top lane tower, but he's got Jwow in that lane, and you can see that even Mundo gets chunked through by Jwow fairly easily.
Indeed, and we do now see Lololol stacking themselves up in the bottom lane. Vi coming in off to the side. We'll see if she hits another wall. And you should, of course, hit it hard. Coming in from the side, Daffcio actually gets blocked. How does that even work? But Ultimate comes in. The huge box comes out as well, locking them all down. Mundo has returned it to his first fight, but Lololol on very low HP. Tip has actually blocked the Q from Mystiques. What a strange turn of events.
And all this is doing is buying time for Jwow, because here comes the re-engage.
Looking for this reset train. He needs one kill to just completely kill everyone. Yuki dropped so low. Dioud will drop, and there's the reset. He picks up one, looking for the second, picks up another, and now trading off against Mundo. He cannot stand against him toe-to-toe. Jumps underneath the Nexus turret. The GG has already been called. Morden will not kill Mundo because he's Mundo.
He is Mundo. Jwow got close though, and Jwow removed Caitlyn, didn't even see her die. That's just a crazy Kha'Zix being able to take them out that quickly. fairly standard from what you'd expect from Kha'Zix. The inhibitor does fall. That'll probably result in all three being taken down. Of course, they will have the position for that, so they don't look to close it out quite yet. But 3 waves of super minions is going to be very difficult to deal with.
And Daffcio is running away from Ocelote until he has his cooldowns, and will then be turning around onto Ocelote, but the rest of the team are converging, trying his best to get out, and the Lantern should be doing just that.
Yeah, so with the 3 inhibitors down now, Lololol will have major map control in this game. Baron is back available after the miracle steal earlier from Jwow, so all Lololol have to do now is rotate around, take out that pink ward, take down the Baron, and there's nothing that Gunwaaa can really do about it, unless they can get a miracle casual steal like Jwow did.
Yeah, that could happen from Daffcio. It's very likely that he'll not be able to hop the wall, though.
Yeah, well, either that or Gragas with an explosive cast. You're looking at either ability might be able to steal it, but it's a big ask now for Gunwaaa to really be able to pull that kind of play off.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do it, but it's kind of their last chance before the curtains fall onto this game. Ocelote just throwing out some of that harassment for the rest of the team to maybe sweep up the mess on aisle 3. Morden trying to find himself the ward jump, doesn't quite happen. Nice flay at the right time from Mystiques.
And now Lololol have found themselves in the base. This is where they want to be to close out the game. Of course, there's no surrender vote coming through, so they're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way by taking the team fight, and here we go.
And killing Daffcio almost immediately. There's 1 reset, there's 2. Can you get the penta? The perfect way to end the day. Caffeee jumps onto the spawn pad saying no. Mundo is so incredibly tanky. That'll be the Nexus turret falling, and Syndra picking up the kill onto Mundo. The Nexus will drop, and that's GG to Lololol.
GG indeed. That means Lololol will advance to face Super Team EU Kappa in the semi-finals tomorrow, and we'll be giving you some more info on the semi-finals now, but well played to both teams and all teams, in fact, from today's round of 8 here in the Scan Invitational, powered by Creative Sound Blaster, Netgear, and Be Quiet. Now, here's that all-important information for tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be starting once again at 12 CET.